Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash and I'm joined by Donny and Drew. The NFL 2020 regular season win totals are out and we cannot wait. We're going to go straight in to the AFC East, where we have the Patriots at 9.5. We have the Bills at 8.5. We have the Jets at 7. And we have the Miami Dolphins at 5.5. Donny, I'll come to you first. What jumps out?
How about the New England Patriots still leading the division with team totals? But wait a second. I thought we got rid of the best football player of all time. It's amazing how good that organization is and the structure of it, from the head coach all the way down to the special teams coaches. You remove Tom Brady, and it looks like you're still the lead dog in the division. And I got to say, I agree with it. Do we lean on Jarrett Stidham at quarterback for the New England Patriots? Do we make a move for Cam Newton? Do you make a move for Jacoby Brissett? Or even a guy like Joe Flacco just to stem the tide and maybe you draft a new quarterback for the future? I got to tell you, it's really interesting when you talk about the Patriots here, Flash. We usually see them at 10.5, 11.5, or 12 to cash that team total. But even though it is lower, they're still top dog in the division. How about that?
Yeah, Drew, the big thing is I cannot remember the last time that they were under 10 wins. And are we expecting them to go 6-0 in their division?
No, absolutely not. I would expect that this is a good spot to look for an under. At the way that they're currently rostered, the way that they've handled this free agency period to this point, looks like a team that's stockpiling assets for the future and is willing to take a step backwards this season to take a step forwards in future years. Let's not forget that the Patriots last season had one of the easiest schedules, not just of the entire NFL, but like in many, many years, that was one of the easiest schedules that any team had. And even still, they underachieved. So I think there are a lot of systematic problems with this Patriots team, top to bottom. And now you take away one of the most, stable parts of a franchise in their quarterback, and potentially going to war with Jarrett Stidham. I mean, that spells 4 wins to me. If they upgrade at the quarterback position to someone who has a little bit higher ceiling, then maybe I'll rethink my position. But right now, if you're going to give me under 9.5 or under 9 wins, even, I want the under on the Patriots.
Okay, well, what about if I stay with you and we go with the Bills at 8.5, who look as if they're really having a go this year?
Yeah, this one is tough. They set a tight number. I really, really was hoping that they would get a little bit more aggressive with this and hang like a 9.5. Give us a shot at an under here, because the Bills, to me, again, they had an easy schedule last year. It was, they had some wins on their schedule that were just, they were, made for them. And, so they overachieved last season. They overperformed their Pythagorean expectation. A lot of that was on the basis of their defense played really, really solid. And they've made some nice moves in this offseason. Obviously, like upgrading at the wide receiver position was a nice move for them. But I'm still buyer beware with Josh Allen. I don't think he's a long-term answer at quarterback. This is kind of one of those teams, sort of like the Bears last year, like the Jags from recent years, where, if Josh Allen takes any meaningful step forward, yeah, this team's going back to the playoffs. But, he could, the wheels could fall off, because he is not the answer at quarterback in my position. So I tentatively lean under at 8.5, but that's a pretty good number.
Donny, the Bills had a really decent, I'd say decent, not great defense, because of obviously you look at the schedule they had, but they've gone with wide receiver, safety, defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end, linebacker. They are recruiting on the D to press home any tight game.
I think 8.5 is a pretty fair number. I do lean on that going over, but I think the whole moniker of the offseason is how much of a backlash you're going to get from betting against New England Patriots just because they got rid of Tom Brady. You can't look at it that way, especially when you're betting the AFC East. Look at the 4 teams here. You're talking about a team in the Miami Dolphins that fought hard last year and were tanking. They're no longer in tank mode. They're loading up their roster. They're not going to be a pushover for 2 wins. Just because Tom Brady has gone from New England, that's not a pushover. You can pick up 2 wins or even 1 win because you struggle with beating that franchise for the past 20 years. And then you take it to the New York Jets. You're expecting them also to take that next step and level up. So even though we look and say, oh, it's a division, it's going to be up in the air, and you see that 8.5, it's not a freebie for saying that's an automatic 10 wins. Hey, look, Buffalo played really well. They went to the playoffs this year. I get that. I like the Buffalo Bills. I think they can hit that 9 wins and get the over. But I know a lot of people are looking at this division and taking a downgraded approach just because Tom Brady is there, where the mighty has fallen. They're no longer going to be on the top of the hill. That's still a really good football team, and they figure out the quarterback position. All 4 of these teams are going to be competitive week to week.
Yeah, well, let's stay with you and go with the Jets, because the Jets number's at 7. Now, if you're a blind man, you can see that you've got to go under. And then you have a look offensive tackle in, offensive tackle in, offensive tackle in. They look to me as if they're building protection.
It's always the way to go. You want to protect your young quarterback. That's going to be your franchise guy. He's got to have some time to throw. Do they bring back Robbie Anderson to get that speed approach downfield? Does Le'Veon Bell bounce back, or do they end up trading Le'Veon Bell? There's still a long way to go in the offseason. But a lot of these numbers, again, in the AFC still seem low. Say, oh, my God, the Jets with 7. They can easily be 500. Well, you can't go and say, well, I like the over on the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets in the same division, because it's not going to work like that. When the schedule comes out, we'll see if they play any home, like Thursday night football games, if they're on the road. Do they have 3 straight road games? There's a lot of stuff to still be determined. I think 7 is a fair number. Do I lean towards the over in that spot? Yes, because these are decent football teams that should be getting better. But again, at the same time, the entire division is getting better as well.
Yeah, Drew, it looks like the Jets, they're going to try and make sure they put pressure on the opposing quarterback. And at the same time, they're going to make sure that they give Sam as much time in that pocket to do as he pleases.
Yeah, the Jets still have a major problem, though, and that's Adam Gase is still their head coach. This team looks like they're ready to quit on this guy. If they get off to a bad start, if they have a rough road in the first month, 2 months of the season, like, this team's going to quit on him. They're going to have to start over with someone new. I like the moves they've made in free agency a lot better than last year, giving Le'Veon Bell that money. That was pretty dumb. But that's still, you have to expect Sam Darnold to take a pretty meaningful leap and really elevate the performance of a lot of kind of meh pieces on offense in order to compete with some of the top tier offenses in this league. And defensively, yeah, they've made some decent upgrades from the pass rush standpoint. Yeah, they still have some blue chip players like Jamal Adams in the secondary, but it's not a good enough defense that they're going to be able to win games with defense. So this absolutely smells like an 8-8 team to me. And it could go as low as 4-12 if they get off to a bad start and the players quit, or it could be, if they get a little bit of momentum early, then they're probably going to make that 7. I'm with Donnie on this, and then I have a slight lean to the over with a number like 7. But I think there are a lot better ways to attack the board than bet the Jets this season, especially because they're a high volatility team. Gase either gets this team rallied together and they all make a collective step forward, or they quit on him.
Drew, we've normally got the whipping boys, obviously the Finns. They've got a number at 5.5, but they are recruiting like money's going out of fashion.
They got it stockpiled somehow. Must have been hosting the Super Bowl last year. The owner and the GM feel like they can go out and spend, but this was a team that was extremely, extremely devoid of talent last season, and yet Brian Flores, the coach, got them more wins than I would have ever expected when we started the season, especially if you remember how poor they were first couple weeks. And so you have to give him credit in terms of his ability to kind of lead a franchise, and that's good, that's solid. But they still have massive, massive questions on the offensive line and the quarterback. Like, who are we trotting out for a quarterback? If they grab a young guy at the top of the draft, which I expect that they will, are they going to start him week 1? Is there going to be a rough road from them in the quarterback position, or are they going to go with the guy who's got a little bit more, a little more experience, a little more stability? If they go the route where they bring in a guy with reps and, start him, then this is a team that makes that 5.5 easily, in my opinion, because they're going to have a whole injection of youth across the board, not just at the quarterback position. They're going to be able to draft, multiple meaningful, starters that are going to be able to contribute from day one, is my guess. And I think they've done a relatively nice job in terms of who they brought in from the pool of free agents this year.
Donnie, this AFC East is looking more like the NFC East of last year, and it might be just a 500 that gets you through to the playoffs. But talk to me about Jordan Howard going in at running back.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to help him out. I mean, we all know that you win, obviously, passing the football, but it's nice to have one of those bell cow guys, especially to end the football games. Flash, if you're up 3 points or under 7 points, he's a guy that can run the clock out. It's a nice move. They didn't pay at all an exorbitant price for him, but I do like the fact with the way they're spending money, trying to improve the offensive line. And there is always that caveat, because we haven't been through all the way through free agency. They say they want to go with Fitzpatrick, but they're going to play a key cog in drafting and, as Drew points out, putting in some infusion of talent. But also, let's not forget, I actually like if they came out today and you can give them true serum. They say, we're going to go the entire year with Fitzpatrick as their quarterback. I love the over. They should be able to take 6 wins, 7 wins, maybe even push for a 500 season. But let's not forget when they come up in the draft, if they pull punches, if they see value and they can make a trade up, or they just stay put and take a quarterback and say, you know what, let's just get this young infusion of talent going. Let's start the rookie quarterback right away. Then you pull back the reins and say, well, wait a second. He's going to take his lumps. Maybe that 6 wins isn't there, but obviously just getting your quarterback of the future in playing games means a lot more than the actual overall record. If Fitzpatrick starts game 1 and he can finish and stay healthy for a full 16 games next year, that team's going to go over that team total.
Yeah, just going to a quick wrap up then of the AFC East. We're probably going under the 9.5 New England and probably over the miserly 5.5 in Miami, and keep an eye on the Jets and Buffalo and see how they start. Drew, Donnie, until next time, thanks a lot.